Well, good morning everybody and welcome to another video. As you'll see, I'm back in Savernake Forest and I have Sky with me, as you'll see throughout the day, I'm sure. And I just thought we'd come back. It's now sort of well over a month since our last visit, and I'll put a link to to that last video up on the screen. When we came, and the intention was to shoot sort of intimate woodland scenes, which we did, but we also got some much nicer sort of wider vistas, which I wasn't expecting because the weather turned out to be better than forecast. Today we're sort of second week in April. It's been really cold. It's not much more than 5 or 6 degrees today, and spring seems to be pretty much on hold at the moment. We had a really good start. A couple of weeks ago it was so warm. You probably saw another one of my videos where I took Sky for a walk, and we even came across the first flowering bluebell, which I think was the 22nd of March, so that was pretty amazing. But since then really it's been quite cold, and the last few days been very, very windy and a lot of rain. I was hoping that the rain would freshen things up in the forest, but I think the wind has sort of pretty much blown it all dry again, but we'll see. But we enjoyed our day out so much last time that I thought we'd come back and try it again. I mean, it's high cloud, overcast, threat of the odd shower or two today, but forecast to clear up a little bit later. So, changing conditions might make things quite interesting. And we thought we'd come and do some intimate woodland scenes and scope out perhaps some wider views for another day. I've decided that I really want to get into a bit more woodland photography again. I mean, woodlands are very close to my heart. A lot of my childhood was spent in woodland, making camps and mucking around with my friends. So I have this connection with them, this sort of emotional connection with them, which I want to portray in photography. And I think that if you really care about things, then that comes across in the photographs that you make. And as I said in my last video, I really struggled for a while with my own photography and trying to find that sort of voice. I kind of lost my way a bit, and I think it might have had something to do with the competition in a way. Seeing all those wonderful photographs and thinking, how am I going to keep up with all, with the standard of those? How am I, running a competition? There's a bit of pressure on me to produce some good work as well, to show the world that actually I know a bit about photography, and I can take a good picture myself. So I kind of put myself under a load of pressure, which sounds a bit silly, I know, but it happened, and my creativity went. But this year, it's come back again, and I think that working on projects is very important. And that's what I've decided to do with woodland, probably over the next 2 or 3 years, not to the exclusion of everything else, but certainly is to work on a woodland project to try and create some images that have that emotional connection for me, and to hopefully try and portray that love of woodland that I have. So woodland is such a diverse ecosystem with everything from sort of real tight macro work with fungi and spring flowers and intimate sort of patterns with mosses and lichens and those sorts of things, right through to sort of wide woodland vistas, which I know I've taken some decent shots in the past, but I feel like I've only just sort of scratched the surface of that, and I kind of want to delve a bit deeper into sort of the wider woodland scenes and seeing what else I'm capable of creating. So that's really why I'm here in Savernake today again, is to just have a wander. It doesn't really matter if I take any photographs or not. I mean, I've got plenty of kit with me to do that, and Sky and I will have an enjoyable day come what may. But yeah, that's what I thought we'd do today. So, come along on the journey with Sky and me today, and let's see what we can come up with. So I found my first shot. The light is pretty flat, so I'm having to go with details and those sort of things to try and get something out of the day. Things may change later. The forecast is for a bit brighter conditions, but I thought this was quite interesting. I spent some time in an area that I spent a little bit of time in last time in the last video that I made in Savernake, and I found a couple of different sort of compositions that might work in the future, but I wanted to take something today. So you know, this is the first shot, and I'll show you that. I'll show you that now. So basically, this is the camera as I've got it set up, and it's pointing. I'll just kind of show you the sort of framing that I'm going for here. It's kind of like that. And I just found these, you know, this sort of fallen tree and the underside of it really interesting, and you've got all these sort of nice limbs sort of leading in from each corner of the frame, and I just thought it was really interesting, and try and I think that, you know, got enough dynamic range in the camera to capture all the detail underneath where it's all in shade there. You know, and then all these sort of lovely mosses and things as it comes in off the limbs, and you know, all these sort of nice cracks and fissures and things. Nice. So I think it looks pretty nice, and I'm going to take that picture now. Yeah, it works. I'll put that up for you now. Well, Sky and I thought we'd just sit down and we'd have our lunch. Well, I'd have my lunch anyway, and I've finished most of the tea, and I thought we'd just reflect on the morning. And I have to say, I've not got out of the morning what I really wanted to be honest with you. Kind of feeling for the first time this year, not feeling very creative, which is unlike me. You know, this is the feeling I tended to have throughout a lot of last year, I guess. This guy's quite tired. She's lying down at my feet. So as you can see, well, you can probably see behind me, the wood's quite chaotic, so it's very, very difficult to work out sort of the broader compositions, and the weather hasn't been great. I mean, it's been overcast. It's the middle of the day now, so it's completely flat lights. The sun is breaking through, so it's coming and going a bit, but of course it's far too harsh when it does come out, it being sort of getting on towards the middle of April now. So what I thought I'd do is I'd spend the rest of the afternoon wandering around, you know, looking for details perhaps, but trying to find areas that are a bit more open, that lend themselves to those sort of easier compositions, because trying to work something out at the moment where there's no real separation from the background, there's no mist, you know, to come in and help with that. You know, the scenes are very chaotic, and that's the whole point of Woodland, of course. But it does make sorting decent images out quite tricky, and if I don't get a decent image within a few hours, I start to feel frustrated, and that's when the problems arise, I guess. So, you know, I thought I'd come on and we'd sit down, I'd have lunch, I'd drink all the tea and just relax. And as I've been doing that, you know, I've had, you know, a couple of buzzards fly through behind me, which has been really nice. I've had jays squawking their corvid punk rock over my head. I can hear a green woodpecker right now just yaffling away in the background. And isn't it great to be able to come out and enjoy all this? I mean, that's the whole point. So why put yourself under so much pressure to create amazing images every time you come out? And I think that's the whole point. The point is to come out and enjoy yourself, relax and get that fix that we all need. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on, I think, doing for the rest of the day. And if I get a picture, fantastic. If I don't, who cares? It doesn't really matter. Sky and I have had a really good day. She's now digging around in the leaf litter and pulling out sticks. But it's good to come out into the areas. This is quite a busy woodland. The main paths through it are quite busy with people walking and lots of dogs. And I like to try and get away from that. You know, if I come out for the day, I kind of want to immerse myself in all of this, in nature, and not be bothered by all that stuff. So I'm tending to sort of come off the main paths and into the main bit of woodland, and maybe that's been half my problem. You know, coming out into the main areas of woodland, it's creating that chaos, and the more I see chaos, the more it's difficult for my brain not to see it. So just taking a break is a good thing, and just soaking up what nature's throwing at me. I mean, I can see, I'm not far off the main path, and I can see from here in that direction, you know, one of the named trees in this forest. I mean, it's got a board with its name on it. I'm not sure about that. I mean, I get it, but you know, having trees with name tags on them, I kind of want to get away from that. And it's a fantastic tree. It's a really, really old oak tree. It's called the Cathedral Oak. Not very photogenic because it's got a house behind it and it's on the edge of the forest. Sorry, I'm looking at it. I can see it from where we are. And it's not what I would be pointing my camera at. As I said, I want to disappear into, you know, the heart of the forest and go and find something else. But therein lies the issue, because, you know, as I said, there's lots of chaos going on. So it's down to me to sort out compositions from that chaos. And I haven't really been looking enough at the close detail of stuff. So I need to open my eyes to that, particularly at the moment where the light is flat. That's where I'm going to make decent images, I think, today, if that's going to happen at all. But anyway, I'll finish the tea and we'll get packed up again, and we'll go and see what we can find. So as I was walking down this path, I saw these trees earlier, and as I returned, the sun was out and it was illuminating the fresh leaves that are coming on the trees. These are horse chestnuts, and they're one of the first things to break into full leaf, and they're really vibrant green, and the sun was picking them up quite nicely. And you can see them behind me here, so I'm just looking at the screen so I can show you. And I love this sort of curve of this tree here. It's really quite nice, and when those leaves get illuminated by the sun, it makes quite a decent scene. So I'm going for a vertical composition. I'm not including this tree here, because I'll tell you for why. If you look along the path, there's a fallen branch, a really big bit of tree that's come off in the recent storms. It's kind of spoiling the bottom edge of the frame. So in fact, the sun's just coming now, so I'll just take this, I'll just concentrate on taking this image if it comes out, you know, if the lighting comes right on it. Yeah, that's looking pretty nice now. So I'm just going to take that now. 2-second timer. Let's see how that looks. Oh, that's really quite nice, actually. I took it earlier without the sunlight, and it was a bit flat. But actually, it looks really nice. I'll show you. The sun's just disappearing again now. It keeps coming and going, but you can see, you know, how the sun's going to pick up all these sort of lovely new, fresh green leaves. So, yeah, that's a quite, you know, it's quite a nice image. I'm quite pleased with that, I think. So I'm going to give it a couple more minutes here, maybe take a few more shots as the sun sort of keeps peeking in and out now. Might be quite interesting, and I'll put the best one up. So you may wonder why I'm lying down in the dirt, which is my usual position, to be honest. Sky and I stopped, and we, you know, had another little drink and a good look around. And again, we're off the beaten track here a bit, but we keep on getting disturbed by dogs running through the undergrowth. But there are lesser celandine flowers starting to come out here. These woods are quite a way behind the woods at home, so you know, these are only just starting to flower, whereas, you know, they've been out for 2 or 3 weeks at home. But anyway, they generally are sort of single plants, which actually makes them quite good to isolate as subjects with a macro lens. So that's what I've got. I've got the 105 macro lens on, and there's a single plant just down here. You probably can't see it. I'll show it to you in a minute on the camera. And that's been quite nice to sort of isolate. You know, when the cloud cover comes over, it creates sort of some nice, as it's starting to do now, as you can see, starting to create some nice sort of soft light, which is perfect for photographing plants with. But if you remember the snowdrop video that I did a couple of months ago, I'll put a link in the description above, then you'll know that I play with out of focus elements quite a lot to try and create this sort of soft, ethereal type feel to my images. And I've been doing that here with bits of moss which are lying, you know, around on the woodland floor. I'm putting them in front of the lens just to sort of try and create everything soft and out of focus except, you know, the subject, which obviously is the flower. And even that, you know, very shallow depth of field with the macro lens, sort of f3.5, f4, that sort of, you know, that sort of f-stop, and with the 105 focal length and being quite close to the subject as well, very, very shallow depth of field. So, you know, all you're really seeing, all the attention is on the flower. So I'll try and show you with the camera in a second, in a little bit more detail, the sort of things that I'm doing, but I'll put that I'll put that image on in a minute so you can have a look. But I'll just pick the camera up in a second and show you exactly, you know, the setup that I've been playing around with. So this is the individual flower that I've been photographing. As you can see, it's quite well isolated from all the sort of vegetation and leaf litter and everything else, particularly if you get low, and that's the most important thing with this type of photography. Is it's no good being up here because you're going to get all this sort of forest floor, all the stuff here in, well, not necessarily in focus, but it's going to be very, very distracting. Whereas if you come right down here with that macro lens, I mean, obviously the video camera has a very good depth of field, so you know you're not getting the effect, but you know, with the macro lens you can really isolate that that plant very, very nicely. And if you start putting things like this in front of the lens, so you know I'm playing around here trying to sort of put the lens in these sorts of positions, so you know you have to focus on the flower and play around a little bit and move the lens around a little bit to try and get the effect you want. But you can see that nice soft light now. Now the sun's gone behind the clouds, so you know it's that sort of thing that I've been sort of messing around with, if you like, and it's that I try and tend to use when I'm photographing plants to try and get that very isolated, very soft, artistic feel. So I'll put the best of those images up for you now. We've had a pretty lovely day, and we're both pretty tired now. Sky's just lying at my feet, basically. She's any time I stop, she's just lying flat out. But I've come across what I think is probably the shot of the day. Actually, at the moment the sun's quite bright, and there's a lot of contrast on this scene. But a few minutes ago, it was overcast, and it was you know nice, and the light was nice and flat and even. And the scene looked really good. So the deeper I've got into the forest, I've started to come across these dips in the terrain, which is really good because you can get up above, you know, well, it was almost canopy height, which is quite handy. So I'm actually shooting down into you know, a load of branches of a mature tree. Difficult to really show you what it looks like because the sun's quite bright on it, but I'll do my best. So I'll flip the camera around in a minute. But as I said, I took a shot, you know, while the sun was behind the the high cloud, and I think it could be the shot of the day. So I'll put that on in a second. But I'll just show you the scene by flipping the camera around, and hopefully you can basically pick it out. So I'll try and zoom in just a little bit for you. So you can probably see that tree there, which is picking up the light in amongst those sort of bare, grey, brownish sort of branches. And it's that's the centre. I've done it in a vertical orientation, so there's none of that sort of side distraction with those trunks. But I think it works really well. There's a nice bit of contrast, which is what I've been lacking today. And finally found it, so I'll put that on for you now and see what you think. So Sky and I have had a fantastic day again here in Savernake Forest. There's still so much to explore. I mean, I haven't even done a quarter of it yet, and that's been days and days I've had here. I mean, another fantastic area, as you can see, I can see all the light raking in now as the sun's coming down lower in the sky. Or you can hear the woodpecker. I hope the microphone picked that up. And I can see all these trees in front of me all getting backlit now, and they look really nice. But we've got to head back to the car, otherwise we'll get locked in. The woodpecker drumming again. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please do let me know what you thought of the images by leaving comments down below. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then do hit the subscribe button, and also hit that bell icon, which will give you notifications of new videos as and when they're posted. You know, I'm doing quite a lot at the moment, so there's a lot coming up this year. As I said, give us a thumbs up, because that always helps the YouTube algorithm find us and broadcast us to a wider audience. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.